I just felt so honored, and then when Christopher came along, that grew even more. And for me as a young person to work with the people like that are going to be here tonight, I just think it's the greatest thing in the world. It really, really is. I got to learn so much from all of them. He's a living legend, and I'm only 18, so I got to learn as much as I possibly could from him, and I'm just so grateful I got that opportunity. It's wonderful. After all the ups and downs, I'm just happy people are going to get to see it, and I hope that people go out and see it in their own towns and in their own cities, because I'm so proud of this film. Well, I was pretty critical of myself. I didn't really remember shooting it because it was so much. It was kind of traumatic itself. I mean, the set itself was fine, but it was just so intense when we actually shot it. So when I was watching it, I was like, is that really genuine? Does that feel real? But I was pretty happy with it, though. I think it's a tough scene to watch.
It's a fascinating story altogether, and I remember it back in the 60s and 70s. When I was living in Europe, it was a big shocker at the time. And the fact that the role was terribly good, and the fact that I loved working with him, Ridley Scott. He's such a terrific fellow and a terrific talent. I've always wanted to work with him, and this was a wonderful chance, so we did. We had a good time, actually. Michelle, I've been a fan of hers forever. And Mark is terrific. What a pro. And I was so sorry they had to come all the way back to do the whole damn thing again, but they enjoyed it, and we changed things, so it was very interesting.
Between Christopher Plummer and Michelle and Mark Wahlberg. Michelle in particular, I mean, I knew when she came on board that it was that we were set, because she's just everything she does, she elevates every single thing that she does beautifully. And Mark is fantastic, and Plummer, he was a guy that we talked about even from the earliest days as sort of your fantasy version of this character. So, we're just all thrilled by that. There's a lot of drama, there's a great sort of thriller element to this, which is really exciting, and there's also a lot of human drama and sort of big questions, big themes. So there's a lot there for an audience to see.
This movie kind of took a lot to get to this point and come together, but it did, and just happy. And obviously, it was an honor to be able to work with Ridley and serve his vision. And Ridley was committed to making sure the movie came out at the time that he had planned, and Ridley gets it done. First and foremost, Ridley as a director. I've always wanted to work with him, and then the part was pretty interesting and cool. I don't get to play the intellectual all that often, and so playing that particular part and working with the cast that he draws, it was a no-brainer. Well, obviously, just stylistically, the actual look of and feel of the film is amazing, but also the story. I mean, it's a fascinating story to know that this is actually a true story, to understand, what J. Paul Getty's legacy was like, the nuances of the actual kidnapping and rescue. It's fascinating. It makes for a great suspenseful thriller and a subject matter that everybody can enjoy.
I wanted to work with Ridley. He's a master, and to think that my lifetime would intersect with his was really an honor. We really wanted to take an alternative approach, a sort of backdoor approach. The thing that Gail herself was maligned for was not giving people what they wanted, and I think that Ridley and I were both interested in another interpretation of the experience that was more true to life. The amazing Christopher Plummer, the legendary Christopher Plummer, Mark Wahlberg, Charlie Plummer, and of course Ridley Scott, who's a star himself. Really, I just hope they go see it, and there's a lot of people that worked really hard on this movie, and we're so proud to finally be able to put it out into the world.
It's a very good, consolidated character piece. Very strong characters with a great engine. I think quite a lot of surprises, actually. It's a thing that would not be expected. It really is a thriller. and yet it's a thriller based on fact. And I love dealing with fact because fact is always more extraordinary in fiction. You kind of liked him at the end of it because you start to see, when he is asked two major questions. One, how much would you pay for your grandson? Nothing. You've been asked to pay $17 million for the return of your grandson. Well, he said, well, very little is worth $17 million today. Now, when he says that, you're not being a jerk. He's actually negotiating already with the mafia because he knows one way or another they're going to see that and listen. So he's already dealing.
The style of the movie, the way that Ridley and the writer, the way they captured that era, and the family. It's a really amazing portrait of the family, of the Getty family. It's not strictly about the kidnapping. It's about so much more than that. But yeah, they did an amazing job. The production designers, cinematography, and yeah, it's a very interesting movie. It is about a mom and her son and doing everything and it's about power and how power sort of transitions in different ways depending on how people are being pulled. The way in which the story is told is just very, very interesting. It's pure Ridley Scott.